Hello and welcome back. Today I am putting my fate into your hands and reading the romantasy books that you all recommended to me in the first edition of this romantasy experiment. In case you missed it, you can always go back and check out the first episode, but basically we are doing a romantasy deep dive. I'm gonna be reading all of the viral romantasy books and then adding them to a tier list so that you can determine whether or not you want to read them yourself. And when I introduced the tier list, some of you guys recommended books that are on the viral romantasy TBR. And the first book that we're gonna start with is Heartless Hunter, which is written by Kristen Cicciarelli. And your recommendation said, you should read Heartless Hunter. I believe you will really enjoy it. And that's just the sweetest darn thing I've ever heard. So now we're gonna read it. It's been a minute, guys. I didn't get a ton of footage of the Heartless Hunter reading experience because I was actually on a trip visiting some good friends of mine, but I did finish the book, which means it's time to add it to the tier list. Let's discuss. I really liked it, but I had to switch my mindset pretty much from the very beginning because the romance was moving so quickly in that kind of like, we really hate each other, but we're both so hot that it's hard kind of way. So I clicked into the sweet treat mentality pretty early on and then had a wonderful time. It's the kind of book where if you think too hard for too long about the plot and especially the events leading up to the beginning of this story, you kind of get a little bit lost in the sauce. It doesn't make the most sense, but honestly, I don't think that really matters because the general premise of the book, which is about this girl who is a witch in a society where witches used to be worshipped but are now hunted, is really interesting. And the book also has this overarching theme or like message about how personal experiences with bad people can impact your view on entire groups of people and how that can lead to misconceptions because generalization is bad. And so you're really invested in the characters during this story because the main characters are dealing with this problem, and so you want to stay through to the end to see how they learn and grow. It's a fast, easy read with a fun romance, and it's the perfect sweet treat book if you are in a witchy mood. So the comment was right. I did really enjoy it. The next book in this experiment, as recommended by you all, had multiple recommendations and is one of my most anticipated books on the total list. I'm so excited. You guys recommended Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Excited to hear your thoughts on the other books, especially Once Upon a Broken Heart. It's definitely up there as one of my all-time faves. I can't wait for you to read the rest of the books. I love Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Cruel Prince. I can't wait for your Queen of Nothing deep dive, which I am working on. But right now, we're worried about Jax and Evangeline? Is that their names? Someone also said that Once Upon a Broken Heart will be so much better if you read the Caraval trilogy first, which I already have in anticipation for this series. So don't worry, I am prepped, but Once Upon a Broken Heart has been so viral, so well loved, so popular, that I have a good feeling. I'm really excited about this book. I don't want to overhype it. It'll be good. It'll be good. Good morning, everyone. Today is a cold and rainy day, perfect for reading, and today we are eating sourdough blueberry pancakes and reading Once Upon a Broken Heart. Guys! Okay, I'm just about halfway through the book now, and I finally know what it's about, kind of. Like, I had no idea going into it, and I never would have guessed that this is what it's about. Our main character, Evangeline Fox, has recently had her heart broken, and so she goes to find the Prince of Hearts to see if she can make a deal with him to win back her lost love, who now happens to be marrying her stepsister. Yikes! So she makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts, and in return for stopping this wedding, she has to give him 3 kisses. Dun 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 dun! But not like kissing him, because if you've read the Caraval series, you would know that Jax cannot be kissed, because if he kisses anyone who is not his true love, then they die. Woo! At this point, halfway through, my main takeaways are that Stephanie Garber's writing has so vastly improved. I think I also just am obsessed with Evangeline Fox, the main character. She has charmed me. She just has this like warmth in her heart. Like, she believes in true love, and she believes in seeing the best in everybody, and she believes so deeply in hope and happy endings and the infinite possibilities of the world. And she's like a logical queen, okay? Obviously I love Jax. He's like this sickly, depraved, meager, broken soul. Of course I love him. That being said, let me say something really quick. I know that there is a love triangle, and that I haven't met the third member of the love triangle yet, and that it's like very contentious within the fandom. But I know that there's another person out there in this triangle, and I think I know who that person is. There's just like this really mysterious guy that just keeps being like hinted at, like, oh! He just like shows up and like saves her really quickly. This is why I'm a slow burn kind of girl, okay? I want the idea of a man, you know? Just give me the tiniest little sprinkle of information, enough that he isn't even a real character in the story, and you got me hook, line, and sinker. I'm in, okay? Jax and Evangeline are also in a slow burn situation, of course. She hates him and he has no heart. I get it. But he's so present in the story, so much more present in the story than I expected him to be. So I'm like, Jax. Like, I get it. It's broken. It's tragic. I feel for him. Who's this mysterious guy with a weird helm on his head? Tell me more about him. But I'm really nervous that I'm not gonna be Team Jax. Okay, and one last thing, and then I will stop yapping. I feel like I'm kind of seeing every plot twist coming. But I've only seen the setup so far. I'm only halfway through, so we'll see if the twists surprise me or not. I don't know if they will, though. I kind of feel like it's a little bit obvious. Like, I feel like I've got it all figured out. I don't know. Good morning. It's another rainy day, and it's really dark in here. I love the winter. I actually need to start off today by apologizing, okay? I am so sorry about anything and everything that I said previously about this book, because I was wrong. Every single prediction I had, there were even a few where I was like, okay, yeah, because it was a fucking misdirect. It was a red herring, you idiot. Me, the idiot. You agree that I'm an idiot, right? That's a yes. The second half of this book is explosive. Everything changes. The plot kicks in, the drive kicks in, the twists and turns and reveals. So I thought that there was this mysterious character that kept popping up in the first half of this book, and I was like, I think that's the other love interest, and I think I'm gonna like him more than I like Jax. Idiot. Not only did I not yet understand Jax's game, I also was just so wrong about the third prong of the love triangle. It was sitting right in front of my face the whole time, and you just don't get into it in this book because this book really is just an introduction to the world. Or I guess this story in this world. What I really want to say is that I'm sorry that I was wrong. I love Jax. I also would say I had some preconceived notions about how the balance of romance and fantasy plot was gonna be, and I was fully wrong. It's definitely driven more by the romance than it is by the fantasy plot. I almost kind of wish that Jax was in it a little bit less, just because, like I said before, I find so much yearning and intrigue in characters that, like, we don't know everything about, and Jax is really in this story. But I know that I'm gonna be eating my words again, I'm sure, because I liked him a lot better in the second half of the book, and it's truly one of the most atmospheric books I've ever read. I don't use that word, atmospheric, a lot. This book is so atmospheric. You guys are right again, okay? I loved it. Our next read, which was recommended by Shay Mania, who said, also, The Unmaking of June Farrow is so good as an audiobook. I love the narrator and the accent she does. Makes it super atmospheric, but also it's very, very slow. I don't know if I would consider it romantasy. Reads more like lit fic to me. Ooh. Because the comment specifically mentions the audiobook, I will definitely be listening to this one, so I'm gonna go get cozy and start listening. Something inside of me is deeply broken, okay? Because I started this book and I'm like, I hope Mason isn't the love interest. Like, not really that into childhood best friends to lovers. I don't know. Okay, maybe it could be Mason. I can get on this train. It's gonna be fine. As soon as we meet the other guy, oh my god, I'm sold. First line of dialogue, I'm sold. I was just eating a little dinner and I had to actually pause the book because of how messed up it is. This book is about this girl named June Farrow who is in this lineage of women that all eventually go mad. So she's determined to break this cycle by like never falling in love and never having a daughter of her own so that she can't pass this curse on. But then of course she discovers that there's more to this curse than she understood before, and so the decision to move forward with her life in any sort of way becomes so much more complicated. It's reminding me a lot of The Notebook and the rom-com called About Time. It's like very strong About Time vibes, except much more emotionally distressing, hence The Notebook. And it is so unlike all of the other books that I've read on this tier list so far. Wow. What is she gonna do? Every single time I try to innocently listen to a little bit of the audiobook while I'm doing something else, like eating some breakfast before I get ready for the day, I'm just listening to the audiobook, the craziest shit happens. Out of context, so it's not a spoiler, he's her brother? Okay, so maybe I never got ready today. What's the big deal? I just tore through the last like third of this audiobook and wow, absolutely loved it. I have not read a ton of books like this before. I kept thinking that it reminds me of like Outlander, but if it was written by Emily Henry, because it has this fantastical element and feel to it, but it's really about the emotional growth, the human experience. But I think that I agree with Shay Mania, who said that this kind of reminds them more of lit fic than romantasy. I don't think this is a romantasy book. It kind of sent me into a little bit of like an obsessive spiral, and I've come to the conclusion after like, I don't know, maybe an hour of research that I think this book falls into the fabulous literature category, which is a category for books that are kind of somewhere between genre fiction and literary fiction. And fabulous literature is often based on myths or fables, which this is not, but really it is a blend of elements from genre fiction, like the magic part of it is a piece of the fantasy genre, and literary fiction, which is about the human experience and like these emotional arcs and character-driven stories and stuff like that. And it has those things. So I think it's not romantasy. I think this is fabulous literature, and I think that it has to go in the not romantasy tier list. Somebody lied. It kind of feels hard to like go to bed after reading a book like that that's just about like tearing you up on the inside. Yay. And the last book that you guys recommended was from TDXL9187. You should read Powerless or Red Queen. Red Queen isn't on the list, but Powerless is. So that's gonna be the next read. And I don't know, I have a good feeling about it at least being a fast-paced read. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot of expectations. I think it's a YA romantasy, but I don't really know anything here. I'm going in blind as per usual. Let's read! I finished pretty fast. It's actually been quite some time. The audiobook is 17 hours long. Also, my dishwasher's running and I have to have it run because I'm going on a trip tomorrow, so I gotta do my dishes, so I'm sorry in advance, but just pretend it's not happening. I have some critiques here, and if this is a book that is near and dear to your heart, now honestly might be the time to skedaddle. I don't want to be mean or too harsh or anything, and I am gonna recommend this book to certain readers at the end, but you gotta buckle up for a little bit of a rant here first. I would describe Powerless by Lauren Roberts as an Aaron Warner fantasy Hunger Games AU fan fiction written by someone that's really obsessed with the TV show Psych. And I love genuinely all of those things, but it's just that when you kind of smoosh together all of these huge moments, tropes, themes from popular 2010s YA novels, it just doesn't really come together, especially if you don't have a super strong foundation in the story. And it just kind of, to me, felt like Powerless didn't really make a lot of sense at the end of the day. It starts out with this intro to the world that sets up almost the exact same magic system that's in the Shatter Me series by Tahira Mafi, except Powerless doesn't have this main character that's actively trying to learn about the world in order to improve it and change it for the better, which kind of carries that series. And then it transitions into the Hunger Games phase with the trials. And this section of the story is literally a play-by-play of the first Hunger Games book. I'm talking psychological torture scene, dogs coming after them scene. There's even a literal healing salve in the woods scene. It's exactly the same. And then by the end of the first trial, the main character, Peyton, is like the bow and arrow girl. But the trials don't really have like the same effect as the Hunger Games because they don't really have like any rules, and they also don't have the same sense of history that is used in the story to show how far into cruelty a government is willing to go to control its people. After the first trial, the story kind of moves into this Red Queen territory with the whole good brother, bad brother situation, which also just makes me feel like I kind of know where the story is gonna go eventually because I've already read it in the Red Queen. I haven't actually read the Red Queen series, but like, you know what I mean. So I would say it's kind of just worth it to go read those books because each of them have such a strong sense of tone and really clear themes and really good romances too, because all of the kind of build up tropey moments that you get to in those series have been earned based on everything that's come before that moment. And because Powerless was kind of lacking in that for me, I would say this book was not for me, but I still would recommend it to some people. Please don't be too mad at me. Don't be too mad at me, guys! The experience of reading Powerless really reminded me of reading Fourth Wing. There just aren't any dragons, and also Powerless is young adult. But it's the same sort of fast-paced story with world building that isn't gonna like weigh your brain down. And it has all of those fun romance tropey moments to give you that little dopamine boost when you need it. So I do think this could be a fun escape sort of story. If you're just dipping your little toesies into the fantasy genre, maybe you mostly read romance, but this could be a good romantasy to get you in the fantasy mood. Or if you didn't grow up with those YA stories that I was mentioning, this could be good because you won't be distracted by the memory of those books while you're reading this one. Or even if you are a big fantasy reader and have already read those books and everything, but you're just looking for something to kind of be able to turn your brain off and you can just get over the fuzziness of the details in the book, then it'll be a fun ride. I would personally recommend reading Serpent in the Wings of Night instead, just because it's also a battle royale, so you get that Hunger Games feeling, but it has a super original world and the romance is so good. It's slow burn, enemies to lovers. So good. I hope I didn't hurt your hearts too much. I had so much fun reading all of the romantasy recommendations that you guys gave to me. Please let me know if you have any other recommendations. You can put them in the comments, or let me know if there are any other romantasy books I need to add to the tier list TBR. I had so much fun, and that is all for this time. I love you guys so much. Happy holidays. Bye!